got one of these because they turn the music up inside. Blue grey coffee. I don't usually drink blue grey coffee because it ain't clever, but it's the only coffee shop that's in NCC or Grand City Mall in Bohanging. So cheers. Blue grey coffee. It's hot. Yeah, that's all I can say. It tastes like milk. Anyway, so today it's what are we talking about? Retirement. Okay. We've been in the Philippines now for 4 years, and we've just gone through this cultural change where Duterte's presidency is finished. In comes a new president, and there's lots of conjecture and lots of things going on about the Philippines. And what you have to turn around and you look at is the Philippines the right place for you to retire in 2022, 2023, 2024? Yeah? Are there other places out there that are better? Are there other countries out there that are more open, more receptive? So today what I'm doing is I'm just going to look at a couple of countries that people keep talking about, and I see it on the website all the time. Loads of people are leaving Thailand to go to the Philippines. Well, yeah, the reason Thailand is becoming quite difficult because the visas are becoming very, very hard to get hold of. The amount of money that you need to turn around and have with you on a monthly is roughly the same as here in the Philippines. You need around $1,400. So let's do everything in dollars today, shall we, guys? I'm not going to do the conversion rate. I'll tell you what it is. It's 52 pesos to the dollar. So if you get out your calculator, you can work it out. Okay. The pound is down. The pound was 68. Now it's 64. I think it might even drop down to 63 by tomorrow, Friday. The Australian dollar is coming down. The Singapore dollar is coming down against the peso. So you're getting, an exchange rate is the peso has become a little bit stronger, not much, but it's become weaker against the US dollar. So in Thailand, they're having these problems about getting your visa, getting the exchange rate. Lockdown and opening up has become quite difficult. So let's move away from Thailand because there's lots of people leaving Thailand to come to the Philippines, and they've done their homework, and it's better to come and stay in the Philippines short term than it is to stay where it is in Thailand. However, there are two other countries that people talk about. One is Panama. So Panama is about 3.5–4 hours away from the States. It's got a dollar currency rate, so you don't have to worry about exchanging. It's got a good medical service. It's got good medical facilities. It's got cheap accommodation, similar to the price, about $150 to $200 a month for a one-bedroom condo. Two-bedroom condo goes to $350–400. Very similar to what is in the Philippines. Okay. The difference being is that you can apply for, you don't get a retirement visa, you get what's known as a retirement residency visa in Panama, and you apply for that, and you've got to turn around and prove that you've got an income of $1,000 a month, and then they will turn around and grant you this Panama residency. If you have a property in Panama and you've purchased property in Panama, then you only have to have 750 pesos a month coming into the Panama, or $750 coming in to Panama, not pesos, to turn around and support you a month, because your accommodation isn't tied up, because you've already gained your accommodation. You've already purchased it for about $100,000. Okay, you don't need to put a timeshare. You don't need to put a deposit like they do in the Philippines into a timeshare bank. You just need to prove that you've actually got that income coming in, and then you need to turn around and then find a place to live. I don't know too much about Panama. It's something that I don't actually look at. It's just something that's come up on the radar regarding retirement, because it sits for the last 20 years. It's the #1 destination for Americans to retire. There's about 300,000 Americans retired in Panama. I don't know how many Brits, I don't know how many Europeans, I don't know how many French, Dutch, Swedes, Italian, Spanish, whatever. It's a good country to retire to. Yeah, it's a stable country to retire to. So that's number one on the list is Panama. Very similar to the Philippines. You don't need to put a lump sum deposit down. It's got similar living costs. It's got similar gas costs. You don't need to do money exchange for peso to live. You can just live on your dollars. Yeah, and as long as you've got dollars going into that American account, you're good to live. Number 3 is Vietnam. Yeah, so Vietnam, I looked at Vietnam before I came to the Philippines, and it was very, very difficult to get a visa. After 4 years of me living in the Philippines, it's still difficult to get a visa. You can go there as a tourist and you can extend your tourist visa for 90 days. Okay, then you have to do a border run, come back in and start that process all over again. Okay, it's the Vietnamese dong. Okay, so for $1,000 you get around 31 million dong, I think it is, to $1,000. Accommodation is a little bit more expensive. It's about $200 for a 1-bedroom apartment, and about $600, $500 to $600 for a 2-bedroom apartment. However, the rest of it, the living costs and the monthlies and electricity and the food, is a lot cheaper, and I mean a lot cheaper. The food is very diverse. It's very eclectic. It's got great beaches. It's got great mountain ranges. I've been there 8 or 9 times, and I can explain. I do like Vietnam. I think Vietnam is a lovely country. The people are very, very nice. The reason I didn't go there is because the visa, and they still don't have this visa for retirees. What you have to turn around and do is you have to wait 3 years, keep applying for your tourist visa, then you can apply for a residency visa in Vietnam. And then once you've turned around and applied for your residency visa, you have to turn around. You have to turn around. It gets issued for 10 years. After 10 years, you go back and renew it. Okay. Now in Panama, it's a little bit different when you apply for your visa. Sorry for chopping and changing, but what you do is you go to a solicitor, you give him power of attorney, he then tells you the paperwork you need to supply him, you give it to him, he goes to the court, he applies, then you turn around. But remember, you've just given somebody power of attorney to your accounts and to what you're doing in your life. Nice way of looking into what you're doing. So that's in Panama. The visa, as I said, in Vietnam, you apply for a tourist visa, you go through the process, and then you apply for a longer term retiree visa. But it's getting a little bit more difficult, and I don't know why. I've looked at it a couple of times, because there are people that get retiree visas and they get them no problems at all. But in the last 6 months, the government has become very, very strict on issuing out. Maybe they've been caught, maybe they've actually had a few issues on retiree visas. At the moment, for me, the Philippines at present is still a good country to retire to. Okay, the exchange rate is down for me, I understand that. I'm losing 5-6 pesos to the pound. Yeah, I can go with that. But there are some people that cut the margin very, very, very tight, and that 5 peso could work out to 500 pesos if they're transferring in £1,000, or they're transferring in 700 or 800 pounds. So that, as I said at the beginning, is it the right place for you to retire? Look at your financials, guys. You need to look at that really, really closely, because it's key. Yeah, the government turned around and said $800 to $1,400 for a single guy or single woman or a family. But when your exchange rate comes down by 4, 5, 6 pesos per pound, at the end of the month, that's quite a big lump sum that you're going to struggle to meet. That's why Panama is quite popular, or is the #1 choice for Americans, because they don't have that exchange rate issue. They get $1,000, they get $1,000 in their bank. They don't get $1,000 and exchange it and find that they get $950 or they get $900. They actually get the right amount of money to live on, and they can budget, and they can look at it really, really closely. So I think, bear in mind that it's a new government, a new regime that's here at the moment. Things might change. The peso might get stronger, the pound might get weaker. I don't know. The dollar is really strong at the moment against the peso, which for the Americans here, that's great. They get an extra $4 or $5 peso to the dollar. Lovely. I enjoyed that. So, as I said in the intro, money matters here. If you haven't got money, you don't live. So there are 3 countries. Singapore, you can't do anything about Singapore because it's too expensive. Hong Kong is not open. Yeah, for whatever people want to turn around and say, the Chinese have locked Hong Kong down really, really tightly, and I've noticed that when I've been looking for flights going back to the UK, because I need to go back to the UK this year, because I need to renew my driving licence, renew my passport, renew my pension application, renew my government pension, get myself my bank account sorted out, explain to my financial advisors what I'm doing for the next 4 to 5 years. So I will be back in sometime in October or November. But you need to turn around and you need to say to yourself, is the Philippines the right destination for me? If you're looking for a stable currency, stable footprint, cheap accommodation, cheapish food, then I would suggest you look at Panama. If you don't mind going up and down on your money with your dollar and your pound rate, whatever it is, and you're looking for cheap accommodation, cheapish food, then the Philippines is up your alleyway. Yeah. The reason I came here was because of the visa. Yeah. Now there's a lot of people here that use the tourist visa, which means they could go to Vietnam or they could go to Panama. They wouldn't get into Hong Kong and they wouldn't get into Singapore at the present time. Japan is just opened up for tourist visas, which means travellers can go and live in Japan, which is only 3.5 hours away. So there are options out there. There are options out there that you guys need to look at. Yeah. But the reason I'm doing the vlog today is we've moved from the Duterte regime into a new presidential regime. You need to look carefully at what's actually going on. Some of the things that are coming out that I've listened to in the last 2 to 3 weeks, the government don't want to turn around and support OFWs working overseas, but the OFWs will go and work overseas. They want to do more keep those people in the Philippines, train them, reskill, develop the skill factor in the Philippines. Great news. That's really, really good. Develop all of that, develop that culture. But OFW spending brings billions into the Philippines a year. The reason the malls exist is because people go and work 3 months in Dubai or Doha or London or India or somewhere else around the world. They're getting 60,000 pesos a month, 80,000 pesos a month. They come back and they send that back to the Philippines, and that money gets spent in the Philippines. So is it a right move? I don't know. I'm not a politician. I just look at it and turn around and say, if it impacts me, then I need to look at where I'm going to live. That's the thing. You need to look at where you're going to live. Don't turn around and say my stick is in the sand, because you could hemorrhage money trying to maintain your dream, where you could move to another dream and have a look at it from there. So looking at it, Thailand is one option, but they're getting stricter on the visas, and you need a little bit more money to support you when you're going to Thailand. Lovely country, great beaches, great mountains, great culture. Second one, Panama. Now Panama's been voted, as I said, for the last 20 years the #1 destination for Americans. It's not the #1 destination for other people in the world. So #1 destination for Brits is Spain or Portugal or Italy. But that all changed this a couple of years ago with Brexit. That's no longer a viable option for some people, because the visas you need to get into Europe now from the UK are costly. Other countries, Nicaragua, no. Costa Rica is very, very good, but it's quite unstable. It's got lovely beaches, it's got lovely mountains, very, very small, runs between the Pacific and the Atlantic. I think it's the Atlantic, or is it the Caribbean Ocean? Beautiful country, but you need to look at it really, really closely if you're going to think about retiring Costa Rica. There was another country, Belize, quite nice, but another country that stability is, the things change very, very quickly. You know, if you're retiring, you want a quiet life. You don't want to have, you don't want all of this, am I wearing blue pants today or red pants today, or I'm wearing white socks today, black socks today. You need that stability in your life. You need to have that stability in your bank account. You need to have that stability so you can pay for your lifestyle. Because retirement is about living and seeing the world, or seeing the country you're living in. What you don't want to do is turn and say, oh, it's going to cost me around about $1,000 to live a month, and all of a sudden 6 months down the road it's costing you $1,500 a month, or it's costing you $2,000 a month. So very, very difficult. So is the Philippines the right country to retire in 2022? For me, yes. Okay, it has its issues, it has its problems, but it's still the option that I choose. That's over Vietnam, that's over Singapore, that's over Hong Kong, that's over Japan, that's over Panama, that's over Costa Rica, that's over Ecuador. Yeah, it's over those different countries. So if you're coming, look at what is happening with the new government. Look at what is actually being stated with the new government. Look at what is actually, I've asked a question about my SRRV this week to the PRA. Will the SRRV continue under the new administration? They can't answer it. If it doesn't, then I'll reevaluate whether the Philippines is the right place for me to be retired. One of those things. Life changes, gives us these curveballs. But for you guys, like, share, subscribe. I'm here at Grand City Mall in Buhangin. It's very quiet. There ain't a lot going on. There are a lot of shops shut. business is hard. So money matters in the Philippines for everybody. Yeah, from the local people to the local to the local males, to the local government, to the local retirees. It matters. Take care. Look after yourself.